Yeah.
Right. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to this afternoon's virtual joint employee council hosted by Bassetlaw District Council. Given the current challenging situation we all face following the outbreak of COVID-19, new legislation has been approved that enables councils to host virtual meetings rather than requiring members to be present in the committee chamber when making a decision. This keeps everyone safe by maintaining a social distancing etiquette and allows business to be conducted in an appropriate manner. It's very important that councillors can hear each other, so I will invite members in alphabetical order to introduce themselves and in doing so test the broadband connection. So first of all, Councillor June Evans, who's Vice Chair of this committee.
Present. I think Evans alphabetically comes after Entwistle, by the way.
Looking at the list, I think you're right. So the second time round, I'll do it the other way. Councillor Cliff Entwistle.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Councillor David Pidwell.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. Councillor Joan Sanger.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon. Councillor Joe White.
Councillor
White has dropped out of the meeting, but we'll try and get her back.
Right, okay, thank you. And there are a number of employee representatives present as well. I'm Keith Circuit and I'm chair of the committee. We've got Mel Bassett.
Afternoon, Chair.
Afternoon, Mel. Jean Common.
Afternoon, Chair.
Philip Lee.
Afternoon, Chair.
And Trudy Walstow.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. We've also a number of officers in attendance. We have Karen Childs, Head of People and Culture.
Hello, Chair.
Ellen Hinsley, who's a meeting facilitator.
Present, Chair.
And James Lavender, who's the committee clerk for the meeting.
Present, Chair.
Thanks, everyone, for that.
Hi, could I just say I've arrived. I've lost my connection, so I'm back in.
Thank you. Welcome back. If a number of members do lose the connection and the meeting becomes inquorate or the live streaming for public viewing fails, I will adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes to allow the connection to be re-established. Given that this is a virtual meeting, there is no corporate responsibility to detail a fire procedure as we ordinarily would. However, I would like to highlight that this committee is being live streamed on social media, so all participants, please be aware of your actions and take appropriate safety precautions from your place of live streaming. Can I please remind members to switch off their microphones when not speaking? So agenda item 1 for the meeting is apologies. Are there any apologies, please?
Chair, we have received apologies from James Worley and from Russell Parr.
Thank you. Agenda item 2 is to receive declarations of interest by members and officers. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Thank you very much. If during the meeting a member realises they have any interest in any of the items, would you please disclose this as soon as possible? Agenda item 3 is minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of July 2020, which is pages 5 to 8 of your agenda. Do all members agree that they represent an accurate record? It looks like it, but does anyone wish to vote against or abstain from voting? If so, please make that known now. No, thank you very much. In that case, the minutes of that meeting are approved. Agenda item number 4 is the minutes for action and the implementation list, which is pages 9 to 10 of your agenda. And these have already been addressed. So to move on to agenda item number 5, which is the outstanding minutes list, and that's on page 11 to 12 of your agenda. And this will be addressed at agenda item number 7A. Agenda item 6A is job evaluation, new and changed jobs, which is pages 13 to 24 of your agenda. And could I ask Karen, please, Karen Childs, to present the report?
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to propose the adoption of a procedure for evaluating new and changed jobs. Members of the committee will be aware that the pay and grading review, which has been undertaken over several years, was implemented finally on the 1st of April 2020, and it followed the evaluation of all of the council's jobs below chief officer level under the National Joint Council's Green Book job evaluation scheme. And the results of those evaluations using that scheme are used to determine the job grades of posts. That scheme is recognised by all parties as the mechanism within the council for determining the pay of posts below chief officer level. Having introduced this scheme, and in order to ensure that the council continues to have in place a fair and equitable pay structure, which meets the requirements of equal pay legislation, it's essential that suitable maintenance arrangements are in place and are consistently applied. And the proposed maintenance arrangements are set out in the appendix to this report, which is the Job Evaluation Maintenance Policy and Procedure. This will ensure that the same job evaluation scheme is used to review the requirements of new jobs or jobs which significantly change. And that will ensure that job sizes are consistently measured so that we can maintain equal pay. Furthermore, where an employee believes that their job has changed significantly, then it's important that the council has a procedure that they can turn to request a re-evaluation of their job. And so that is incorporated into this draft approach. The policy has been developed in regular consultation through the Policies Working Group, as is our usual practice. And so it's been the subject of consultation with trade union colleagues. And it replaces an earlier version that went through JEC and Cabinet several years ago but wasn't implemented because of the delays in being able to implement the wider pay and grading review. The revised policy includes additional information to make things clearer and particularly additional stages. So there are two main changes. The creation of new or changed jobs is the subject of initial evaluation in order to determine size and associated grade, because we need to be able to recruit to jobs before somebody's in them, or to consult on proposed changes with staff who are in the job that's due to change. And therefore those arrangements need to have a grade for people to be able to understand the value of the job. The new policy has introduced an additional stage beyond that, which enables somebody who's been in the job for a period of 12 months to submit further information by the way of a job evaluation questionnaire, which is the method used to evaluate jobs. And that would enable a verification of the initial evaluation. Second major change is that it's always been the case that if a job changes, then there needs to be a determination of whether the change is significant enough to warrant re-evaluation. But the previous policy wasn't clear how that would be determined, and so the new policy sets out how that will be determined. The policy sets out in detail the responsibilities of managers, deputy and chief officers, as well as trained HR evaluators and trade union representatives. And importantly, it ensures that there is appropriate independence in the decision-making processes at key stages and provides a right of appeal to an employee whose job is re-evaluated at their request. and the draft policy and procedure is recommended to members of the JEC. And that's my report, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Is Keith there?
He is.
I think I've just come back in. I lost, first of all, sound and then pictures, but I seem to be back in.
I think during it you were agreed to pay us all, Keith. That was the,
Is that right?
that was the thing you couldn't hear, yeah.
Not
think
take a
so.
vote on that.
So I have missed a little bit of that. Have you finished your report, Karen?
Yeah, Karen just finished.
Right.
Would you like me to visit any of it?
Probably, if you don't mind, probably the last bit. I heard most of it, I think. Yeah, you'd gone past where the review is available after 12 months, and I think I cut out shortly after that.
Okay, so the second main change is that the new policy clarifies how changes will be assessed to determine whether they're significant enough to warrant a re-evaluation. The first policy made reference to the fact that changes need to be significant, but didn't explain how we would determine significance. So that's been corrected in this policy. The policy sets out in detail the responsibilities of those involved, including managers and chief or deputy chief officers, trained HR evaluators and trade union representatives, and it ensures appropriate independence at key stages of the process and a right of appeal to employees whose job is re-evaluated at their request. And the draft policy and procedure is recommended to members of the JEC. And I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Right, thank you for that, Karen. Sorry you've had to go through that bit again. Right, members will now be offered the opportunity to ask questions, and I will move around them alphabetically. I will then ask if there are any further comments or questions from the employee representatives. So, first of all, Councillor Cliff Entwistle.
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor June Evans.
No questions.
Councillor David Pidwell.
Can you unmute your microphone, please, Councillor Pidwell?
Sorry, I don't have any questions either.
Thank you. Councillor Joan Sanger.
No questions, but thank you for the report.
Thank you. And Councillor Joe White.
No, it all seems very logical, so no questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And now the employee representatives. I've got nothing to add. I've been part of the procedure, so I'm quite happy with it. Mel Bassett.
No, thanks, Chair. Just when you thought you got rid of pay and grading, we get maintenance back, don't we?
It was never going to go away, was it?
No.
Jean Common.
Nothing from me.
Philip Lee.
No questions, Chair.
Thank you. And Trudy Walstow.
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will, if there are no questions, I'll move to the recommendation, which is on page 15, which is to agree the draft job evaluation maintenance policy and procedure for recommendation to Cabinet. So members, please respond if you are in favour, against or abstaining, and please answer clearly and only when your name is called. So alphabetical order once again. Councillor Cliff Entwistle.
Accepted.
Councillor June Evans.
In favour.
Councillor David Pidwell.
In favour.
Councillor Joan Sanger.
In favour.
Councillor Joe White.
In favour.
Melanie Bassett.
In favour.
Jean Common,
In favour.
Philip Lee,
In favour.
Trudy Walstow,
In favour.
and I'm also in favour, so that's unanimously accepted. Thank you very much. And that's been agreed for recommendation to Cabinet. Agenda item number 7 is section B, items for discussion in private. The live stream will shortly be stopped as we move on to the confidential items. And I would like to thank anyone who has been watching the live stream meeting. Can I please confirm that in accordance with Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, and after considering the public interest test as set out by the officer in the body of the report, members agree that the following items of business involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 4, and therefore in accordance with section 100A of the Act, the press and public
Chair.
should be...
Chair, can we confirm that the